Growing to Give.
Alaska 2023.
Digital and graphic design.
We're trying to make a submarine that can go underwater.
Was to make a song.
Trail stewardship.
I'm Doug Ware, and I serve as the Community Learning Coordinator here at Mount Ararat High School. Community Pathways is a program we've developed to support interests and aspirations, connecting them to the community, to career opportunities, to creative opportunities as well. The Community Learning Coordinator position was introduced to the school the winter of last year, so midway through the school year. It was a position that exists in other schools in the region, and Mr. Hoffman ultimately introduced that as a new position to the building. Now Dr. Hoffman is our principal here at Mount Ararat High School. It's something that I've always felt we needed, that it was an area in which we were lacking. We have such a strong curriculum across all of the content areas, but our ability to sort of break down the four walls and a bell schedule barrier and bring the community into the building and reach out to the community, I feel has always been limited. With the acceptance of the Community Learning Coordinator position, Mr. Hoffman and I have worked closely to develop this program to provide these opportunities for students.
My name is Makeda Berhanu, and my project was digital and graphic design. My project was mainly about the Adobe Photoshop program and learning how to create digital collages and photos through editing and overlaying images. It was kind of two things. One was my capstone project, which is our senior decider if we graduate or not. For my capstone, I was creating a zine, required a lot of collage and different type of editing, and I knew I wanted to create a digital magazine, so I thought that this would provide a way for me to learn more about editing and creating collages and art digitally. I just always into Photoshop and making images for my friends and stuff, and like for classes, so I kind of already had it in me, I would say, but I'd never really gotten into it on the laptop and more of the professional side of it. I used my laptop, my school laptop, and then the school provided me with the programs. They helped buy it for me because it was pretty expensive. My experience has been pretty straightforward. The program that I did was throughout school, so it was already a created timeline of my assignments, and it was very easy to follow. Each week I would have a video to watch that was about an hour to an hour and a half long, and I would have that week to finish a project and turn it in, and then I would get responses and stuff. And I would say I did that for about maybe 6 weeks, I think, where each week I was submitting a new photo and I would get input, and I would send some of the things for my zines, and I ended up using a lot of the photos that I created in that program in my zine. So it was they flowed together. So I had to combine photos to create a new animal. I had to create a magazine cover. I created a skateboard magazine cover. I had to add things on people's faces, make photos animated, add filters, make things larger and change the scaling of things in a photo. It was just a really straightforward program, and I think that there's a lot of classes that they provide that are very different areas, and so I would like to look more on that and maybe see what else I could do. I think that because I'd already gotten used to PixArt, which is the software that I used before, it was easy to transition because I already knew which buttons did certain things, and so once I just figured out where they were on the software, it was really easy to learn, and once I just started memorizing them, it wasn't hard to locate. I learned a lot of downloading so I can bring them to different softwares, and for my zine working with Canva, I had to use both applications simultaneously to make my project, so it was a lot of downloading and bringing over here, and so it kind of helped me work with my laptop more and use it to its full extent. My favorite part, the freedom that my personal instructor gave us each week, were broad assignments, so I had the ability to like look things up and get inspiration and then create something that was really me. And so it wasn't very do this, like combine these photos and make this. It was create an animal, create a new world that's not like Earth. It was very broad things that made me use my imagination. So I would say her giving me prompts that I wouldn't have been able to create on my own. First, I had 2 study halls in a row, so that's why Mr. Ware approached me and was like, would you like to do some type of thing that you can bring home or go and do a work study somewhere? And so I thought that it would be really cool to be able to go home and do a class that's something I'm interested in. So it didn't really feel like a class, it just felt like I was at home just making some art. It was a really good experience for the credit that it gave me. Definitely, it was a passion project, and also it linked to what I want to do with my life. I would like to work in the magazine industry, and so learning more about editing and digital design was really helpful, and just learning how to export certain things and brought me into the world of editing, and I really loved it the more I worked on it, and so now I think that's what I want to do.
All of these projects that students are doing really just blow me away. I had not heard of Community Pathways, and now that I know what it is and what it's capable of, I think it's remarkable. Makeda was able to explore her career in a class that didn't even exist until she made it exist. Those are the kind of opportunities we need for students.
Our district and high school, Mount Ararat High School, serve the communities of Bowdoin, Bowdenham, Topsom, and Harpswell. Across the state in the last 2 years, there's been a significant expansion and growth in the area of programs that either connect to the community or that support student ELOs, extended or expanded learning opportunities. So these are things like independent studies, work-based studies, internships, a series of job shadows that are combined as a learning experience. With that expansion, we've seen more support from the Department of Education, and we happen to be in the special position of being a grant recipient, one of 26 in the state, to support the work that we're doing. I think another important and less visible role in this position is working to develop partnerships with community organizations, businesses, with other organizations who might support student experiences. All groups who connect, who broaden our access to the businesses and organizations in the region.
So yeah, not only are there credit-bearing experiences, but there are also opportunities for students who decide not to take a class within Community Pathways.
This year we've gone on a variety of field trips, some that are in coordination with specific classes or courses, others that may not be. The trips include 2 visits to the University of Maine Orono in conjunction with Tyler Technologies to understand cutting-edge engineering and STEM that's happening there, a visit to Canopy Farms in Brunswick to understand the aquaponics setup that they have there, 2nd annual trip to the Harpswell Mudflats. We've gone on a trip to the Maine Construction Career Days, Watley and Pineland Farms, LL Bean, BIW. There was a trip that was supported to Eco Maine, so quite a few.
A lot of these opportunities are found on these trips that are taken outside of school through Community Pathways. But not only does Community Pathways offer outside opportunities, they offer inside opportunities as well.
So today we're hosting a financial fitness fairs for the students today, and what that is essentially a simulation of their future monthly budget. So today we're placing the students in a scenario where they're single, they're living in their early 20s, and they're working a job. And of course they earn income from that job, and they're faced with paying for expenses that the average adult is faced with paying each month. So housing, transportation, student loans, food, clothing, all that good stuff and more. They gotta pay for it today on a limited income. When they pay for each budget expense, they get to decide what they do and don't pay for. There's different options at each booth, with the end goal being, of course, they spend less than they earn. It's educational, it's insightful, it's actually a lot of fun as well, and I think we're building a financial footing for them to head off into their next ventures and hopefully succeed not only fiscally, but overall as well.
I mean, We haven't even reached the tip of the iceberg yet. This program has so much to offer, and we've got some musicians to tell you more about it.
I'm Aiden Fiori.
I'm Gavin Burbank.
The idea of the project was to make a song and use the new physical interface, which plugs through USB into a laptop. Interface is just a device which, let's say you plug just like a regular 1/4-inch cable from a guitar into the interface, and then the interface takes that signal and puts it into a guitar USB into a laptop. And the thing about an interface which is cool is it's like direct, so it's just that direct signal right from the guitar. If you have like a microphone, for example, and you're recording, you have all that sound elsewhere in the room that it also picks up. In this case, it's just that signal from the bass, no extra sound. And then we use software like GarageBand to record it and mix it and everything. I would say the goal was to have multiple instruments, so drums, bass, guitar, rhythm guitar, and lead guitar.
Definitely show off how the audio interface works.
Yes, that was a big thing.
How to use it. He took guitar 2 during Red 4, and I had a class where we would often get done early, so I'd come down to the band room. And
that's where most of it got done.
Yeah, we met up in the practice room, and I just started jamming on something.
Definitely the most spontaneous part of it was he was just like, all right, I got a couple chords that are cool, and so I put a drum track down. It just kind of turned into a chord progression. Yeah.
Kind of bluesy. The soloing was bluesy, but
the soloing was definitely bluesy on it.
Chords.
And then after that, I was like, okay, I'll just put a bass line on that because it was pretty simple. And later on, a guitar solo. So the drums were programmed. It's something on GarageBand where they'll make drums for you. It's almost like an AI drummer. And then everything else was live. We recorded the song in the practice room here at school. I mean, we're already musicians and everything, but we wanted to use what we know to show off this equipment in the hope that in the future they'd have more equipment to give, students who are trying to aspire in that field.
Right. I think it's very important to give musicians all the opportunities that they can get to develop the music that they want to do.
I would say a major checkpoint was having a finished product and then being like, okay, now we got to mix it and adjust the different levels for the instruments and things. And if you don't know what mixing is, it's basically just getting each instrument at a certain volume so that one isn't overpowering another instrument. That's the finished product that you hear. Being really picky is a challenge. I didn't like that note or whatever, and you just do it over and over and over. 10 takes later, you're like, okay, I guess that'll have to do. Or you liked the first one, and you go all the way back.
I think one thing for me, is when you're recording music, especially by yourself or just a few people, it can be hard to make sure everything syncs up. So that's another thing we work on.
Something else that's important is that this interface allows you to record something and then send it to someone all the way across the world. And you could collaborate without having to be in the same room. That's my favorite part, was just the sense of community. Mr. Ware was definitely very attentive, making sure that we were staying on track, helping us stay on track, and just reminding us about deadlines and things. It didn't feel scary in any way or a lot of pressure. It just felt relaxed, which helps when you're making the music. A favorite thing about my project, definitely just getting more knowledge under your belt. Both of us want to do music in the future. We've already been doing music, but just to have more knowledge into the future, okay, this is how I can make a song on my own. Yeah, I think everyone should have that experience to express themselves through music, and be able to hear a finished product like that is just one of the most satisfying and gratifying things, for sure. Your work of art. It must be good for your brain. I mean, there's some problem solving, there's some, we're gonna always be playing, and we like music.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, we love music. Hearing that end result is definitely just the best part. You're like, oh wow, all those parts go together to make this one, which sounds really cool. That's a great part about music.
It's great for people to have the opportunities to do the stuff that they want to do, because everybody should be allowed to have that opportunity. So.
Yes, and that's what this allows.
My name is Nora Douglas, and the project I'm working on is trail stewardship. Our project was about trail work and trail maintenance and how they're kept and maintained. And my goal was to just see if I wanted to pursue a career in trail maintenance or out in the woods in general. So some of the things that we were doing on the trail were picking up sticks and moving them out of the way so that people wouldn't trip. There were these sticks that were maybe this long, and they were called eye pokies, and they were sticking off the trunk, and our job was to cut those off so that they wouldn't poke somebody in the eye. But also like general debris just off the trail to keep it from being too slippery, and any branches that were overhanging in the trail we also had to cut back so that it was wide enough for people to walk on. The trail maintenance is usually done by stewards, and stewards usually work for some company that centers around having properties that are usually donated to them, which can have trails built into them. Or sometimes if a plot of land is donated, somebody will say, you can have this plot of land, but I want you to keep it wild, and I don't want you to make any trails on it. So they'll have to figure out how often do they go out, what would they do for that property since they can't put trails on it. And stewards are either hired or volunteers, and the hired stewards will clean up the trail, do general maintenance, and they'll also take population samples. They'll record for example, how many bird species there are or how many tree species there are. They'll also try to figure out like what kind of environment a trail is on or has. Invasive species, they'll count how many there are, how big of a problem it is, just keep a general eye on it, and if it becomes huge or it's an invasive species that's notorious for causing diseases and wiping out other species, then they'll try to figure out what the best way to get rid of that invasive species is. The company that we were working for was called the Nature Conservancy. My parents are stewards, and I've also liked being outside in nature, so I think a combination of the two things inspired me to take on the job. Previously known that it was rather difficult to run a trail, but I learned just how much work actually goes in, because both of my parents are stewards, but they're both volunteer stewards, so their only job is to just maintain the trail. Whereas hired stewards, they have a lot more that goes into their job, so they go out into the woods, they take counts and calculations, make sure the trails are all smooth, and then they come back and they use the mapping software to update everything, and so it's just a lot, but it's fun. My favorite part about this project is probably just being able to be out in the woods and learning new, interesting skills. I think the thing I liked best about Community Pathways was the knowledge that if I needed something, I could reach out and I'd get a response rather quickly. Mr. Ware was really good with communication. I knew if I needed it, I could reach out. My project served for me potential career investigation. I have really liked the idea of working out in the woods and being in the wild and not being surrounded by the concrete jungle. I just like the freedom and the sounds of nature and the feel of the wind in my hair, so to say. It's nice to be separated from the reality of technology and all of that responsibility surrounding it. It's nice to just have a break for a while. Students should be able to experience coming up with a project of their own and running with it, either by themselves or with a friend. I think having the freedom to just create something that you are genuinely interested in and then getting credit for it is really valuable, because a lot of school is a process or being led by the hand. Having a project you do on your own that you're really passionate about creates independence and your own drive to actually do it and do it well. So I think that's pretty valuable.
I am so thankful for this program. Community Pathways has given so much to our school, and it's going to give future students so much, especially with this grant that this program has recently received by the Maine Department of Education. My name is Rose Tuttle, and I am the director, editor, producer. I am the creator of this documentary. The only way that this was possible for me was through Community Pathways. It allowed me to take an extra class and to go out and do this filmmaking all on my own. I've always been passionate about theater and the art, and I'm headed into my senior year, and a lot of people have been asking me, what do you want to do after high school? And I think film incorporates a lot of what I love to do, and I wanted to be able to explore that more. I wasn't able to fit a film class in my schedule, so Mr. Hoffman, Dr. Hoffman, introduced me to Community Pathways, and me and Mr. Ware figured out how I could fit in, an extra film class after school. And I think in many ways this class was more valuable than anything else, because I went out and I physically did it. I have no experience in filmmaking, and so just going out and fending for myself and trying to figure it all out, I think gave me the most growth I could possibly get. I have learned so much from this experience, and I absolutely love this program.
I was appreciative of the opportunity being brought to the school and the district to have a unique position that connects students to these kinds of experiences, that connects our school community to the broader community in which we live. I value those things. I think they're important, and it's a really good fit for what I believe in and good match for my skill set as well. As we look to future years, we'll continue on the path that we've now set to support and provide possibilities for credit-bearing experiences for students, to connect students to experiences and opportunities that are outside of the walls of our school building, but then also to bring businesses, organizations, community members into the school building to enrich what it is that we do.
Would I do this again? I would, without hesitation, do this again.
I would definitely do this again.
Yes, I would love to. It's a great opportunity.
Yes, I think
I would love to do another one. It was a great learning experience and it really helped me figure out what I want to do.
Heck yeah.
Heck yeah, man.
Heck yeah, dude.
If you were to sum up community pathways in a closing sentence, what would it be?
Connecting.